When we think of Homer's Odyssey, we usually imagine high fantasy. We picture a legendary king battling one-eyed giants and defying literal gods who watch the world from the clouds. Christopher Nolan grounds the epic in the cold logic of physics. In his version, there are no magical spells or sky-dwelling deities, only a hyper-realistic war movie. Yet, in a world governed by gravity and weather rather than divine whims, this king's 10-year journey back to Ithaca remains a complete catastrophe. The mechanic driving this collapse is psychological projection. The trauma of the war has become the primary antagonist of the journey. Analyzing this film requires a shift in perspective. We have to look past the archetypal hero and observe the unraveling mind of a soldier who survived the unthinkable. The film establishes its brutal tone with the Trojan horse. It is a heavy, wheelless structure sinking into the beach, forcing the Trojans to physically drag it into their city like a salvaged prize. The Greek victory is built on a foundation of betrayal. Long before the walls fell, Agamemnon chose to sacrifice his own daughter, Iphigenia, just to set the military campaign in motion. In the memories of John Bernthal's Menelaus, the actual sack of Troy is a descent into absolute brutality. The Greeks spent that night cutting down a sleeping populace. Odysseus designed the stratagem that made this massacre possible. His brilliant tactical mind was the direct catalyst for the slaughter of the innocent. Odysseus remains anchored to the past by the memory of this carnage. The curse delaying his return is the crushing, inescapable weight of his own crimes at Troy. To understand the journey home, we have to look at the legendary trials as a series of survival mechanisms. The monsters are a lens for Odysseus to process the chaos he encountered. This chart compares his physical progress toward Ithaca against his mental state. His internal stability collapses under his memories, flatlining during his 7 years consuming the numbing lotus flower. A final jagged plunge represents Poseidon, framing natural disasters as targeted punishment. His crew pays the price for his instability. Men are lost in caves and swept overboard as Odysseus makes increasingly desperate leadership choices under extreme psychological stress. These monsters act as a psychological shield. By blaming divine wrath, Odysseus avoids the reality that his own leadership and the trauma of the past are the things killing his men. His solitary connection to his former life is a pin given to him by Penelope. It carries the emblem of the goddess Athena, his patron and protector. Throughout his travels, Athena appears to him in the flesh. She acts as a guide, providing a source of strength during his most isolated moments at sea. But during his final conversation with Penelope, the nature of this guide is revealed. The face of Athena is actually the face of a young girl Odysseus watched die during the destruction of Troy. This reveals that the divine guidance he relied on was a hallucination. He has been navigating his way home through a subjective psychological breakdown. Odysseus was haunted by the projection of his victims. They didn't lead him toward glory. They ensured that the ghosts of Troy followed him all the way to Ithaca. This culminates in a final act of violence when Odysseus returns home to find Robert Pattinson's Antinous trying to seize his throne. Odysseus responds by sealing the doors and killing them all. The film frames this personal war against the backdrop of the Bronze Age collapse. Civilization is threatened by a group known as the Sea People, raiders who leave nothing but ash behind. Looking at the ruins of his own home, Odysseus recognizes his own reflection in that threat. He and his men were the ones who broke the world at Troy. Their violence at the gates of the city was the first tremor of the coming collapse. By slaughtering the suitors, Odysseus realizes he is simply repeating the cycle. He is bringing the same carnage that destroyed Troy into the halls of his own palace. To end the violence, he chooses self-imposed exile. He leaves the kingdom to his son Telemachus and sails west with Penelope to begin the process of healing in the unknown. Nolan's Odyssey ends with an act of agency. Odysseus realizes that survival isn't just about reaching a destination, it's about having the strength to finally walk away from the war.